In 1980, Myrtle Beach got a Hogan. He turned out to be a hero for the community. Meet him, coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Puckett, Sheets & Hogan, the Grand Strand's largest independent insurance agency on 21st Avenue North in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on community involvement, and we're visiting with its co-owner, Mike Hogan. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Greg. How are you?
Thanks so much for letting us in this morning. This is tremendous. We enjoyed so much being here yesterday, and obviously all week we got some tremendous guests in.
Pretty early for me, too.
It is. You're not, obviously y'all open up normally at 8, so you're kind enough to let us in an hour early.
Yeah, I'm normally here at 7:30, but this is just a little earlier. But that's okay.
I love it. I love it. Are you an early riser now?
Oh, yeah.
You are?
Quarter till 6 every day.
Is that right? Get a lot done in the morning.
Try to.
Yeah. It's so great. You know, you all have been around a good while. How long has Puckett, Sheets & Hogan been in the Myrtle Beach area?
We started this company in 1980. We actually had business here with Myrtle Beach Farms and Myrtle Beach Lumber prior to that, and with Chicora, and then we actually opened an office in 1980, and I came down to open the office. So it was February of 28 years ago.
Is that right? Are you originally from the area, Mike?
I'm from Old Fort, North Carolina, which is close to Billy Graham. It's 10 miles from Monterey. It's 10 miles from Black Mountain,
right,
which is up there in the mountains. And it's 12 miles from the new Tiger Wood golf course site.
Get down.
If people don't know where that is.
Back up there, yeah.
And it's 25 miles from Asheville, and then maybe about 15 miles from Lake Lure, Chimney Rock, in that area. Small town, 750 people.
You still have family up there, Mike?
No, my mom actually lives here, and my brother works with us here.
Great, good.
But I went to one school for 12 years, grades 1 through 12, so that was kind of interesting.
Right? In that same town of around 750?
That's right.
How many kids, if you've got a town of 750, how many kids can attend a school like that?
Well, 1 through 12, it was about, I think, about 900.
Oh, okay, so pretty good size.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, when you add all the grades, you don't have to have that many.
Right.
That's 75 kids per grade, and our graduating class was, I think, 75.
So they brought some kids in from adjacent towns at some level. I mean, if it's a town that small, it's...
Well, yeah. When they consolidated all the schools in our county, we still only had one high school.
Is that
so?
Right?
It's a small county.
Yeah. Did you attend college in the upstate?
Yeah, I went to Furman and finished there in 1972, and I played on the golf team there for 4 years.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So you traveled around to all over, I guess, the southeast for the country.
Yeah, those were the good old days. I just didn't realize how much fun we were having.
So that kept you in the upstate, and obviously the opportunity.
Yeah, when I finished Furman, I ended up staying in Greenville, and rather than go in the golf business, a friend of mine asked me to go in the insurance business, and I started in 72, and so I've been, 2007, so
5 years, yeah.
It's starting to add up, yeah.
I know.
And this would be my 35th college reunion coming up in November.
Right. Did you ever think about actually getting into golf as a profession?
I think everybody did when they were pretty good, but in retrospect, I'm really glad I didn't, because the benefits of being a professional golfer, you've got to be really at the top of your game to do well.
All the time.
All the time.
Right.
And it's really hard these days. There are so many good players. Not many people think about that, but those who actually compete, you read in the Sun News, our local players, I mean, it's like a journeyman's deal, unless you're somebody like Tiger Woods or somebody,
yeah, sure.
But that's a whole different ball game.
That's fascinating. So coming down in 1980, I think you said you came down and actually opened, so you were with a firm there in an agency in the upstate.
Puckett, Sheets, and Hagler was the name of the company, and that was the name of our company here, and then Hagler left in the second year, and we renamed the company Puckett, Sheets, and Hogan. And then I was made president of the company, I think, that year. And then in 1989, about this time, as a week before Hurricane Hugo, I bought out Puckett and Sheets, and we left the company name the same. That was part of our deal. So we never changed the name. So that was Yeah, that was the week before Hugo hit. That was kind of a tense time for me.
I bet it was. My God, how did you get the deal closed? That's right. I mean,
we closed a week before the storm hit. We didn't know the storm was coming.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's fascinating. You know, there's so many great things that have gotten in. And when we talk about community involvement, can't think of many people that are as involved, obviously, with your involvement in Sertoma. So many other tremendous groups recently helping the Capitol campaign at First Presbyterian Church for their amazing new facility that'll be fully cropping up there on Grissom Parkway. What enables you, or what is it about Sertoma that got you particularly involved, Mike?
Well, pretty much to go back to the beginning, when I was in high school, my dad was a Rotarian. And even in a small town, there were only 12 members in his club. So every 12 years he was president. But in any event, I joined Interact Club, which was started back in about '66, which was a high school Rotary Club, and got involved in that. And I think that, and my mom and I were, and family were involved in the church there in our little town. So, you know, we were always we were Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts, and doing things like that. So we were always kind of involved in community service and with church and this and that and the other. So when I came to Myrtle Beach, I had already been in Rotary since 1972, right after I got out of college. I was a Rotarian until here until 1985. I was a Rotarian and a Sertoman. And in Greenville, we were involved with the United Way. Our company was. And very involved there, and very involved in the chamber. And so when I came to Myrtle Beach, I was a Rotarian, I was a chamber volunteer, and I was also in the United Way, like I said. So we were, it's just something I was always interested in doing. So after I joined the Rotary Club in 1983, I joined Sertoma, and basically couldn't do both effectively, so I actually dropped out of Rotary and became real involved in Sertoma. And then over the years, that club, which started in 1972, has become one of the top clubs in town.
Sertoma?
We don't talk a lot about our club, but we have about 60 members, and we give away in excess of $35,000 a year.
A year, Mike?
To charities. Yeah, we own the PD Speech and Hearing Building on 21st Avenue that myself, I think it was myself and Roger Grigg, Richard Mansell, Frankie Bates drew the plans up, but we were kind of the nucleus back then, and we built that building about 15 years ago, and then we paid for it over a period of years, got the land from the county.
Wow.
And so we donate that in perpetuity to PD Speech and Hearing, which is the national, Speech and Hearing is the national benefactor of Sertoma.
I did not know that. I actually saw that early this morning when I went online. Sertoma stands for what, Mike?
Stands for Service to Man, and it's an international organization, pretty much akin to Rotary, except we don't have the strict attendance requirements that Rotary has.
Right.
We're more involved in getting, having our members being active in the charity functions that we have, rather than coming every week. So,
absolutely.
But we have a good turnout every week.
How often do you all meet?
We meet every Tuesday, 7:30 at Akel's Pancake House.
Right.
50 weeks a year. We normally take a couple of weeks off during Christmas.
So you're heading there from here. Well, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, we'll be heading on up there.
That's right. That's right. We're going to be. You'll be obviously we're the reason you'll be late this morning.
That's okay.
You'll be getting in a little late, but
Frank Sloan is our president. In fact, today will be Dr. Richard Young will be our president for this coming year, and he was just inducted last Thursday night. So
is that right?
This will be his first day as president.
That's tremendous. So many things happen. Of course, we're thrilled tomorrow to have Mary Martin, the district governor for Rotary. I believe it's District 7770, a 25-county Rotary area from Columbia this way, 25 counties, and obviously she's traveling all over. You mentioned, I think, Interact or Rotaract or something.
Interact was
Interact,
the high school Rotary Club.
Recognized, and I saw that, and I think I saw that this District 7770 over the last 4 years, it has been 2 of the last 4 years, it's been #1 in the world.
Oh, really?
#1 in the world for giving to the foundation, the Rotary International Foundation. So obviously Mary and so many of the folks here in this 25-county district giving a lot. We're thrilled to get her in here tomorrow morning. And of course, when we think about Sertoma, is that, you said the national aspect there is for speech and language disorders, speech
correct.
and hearing?
Right, and they have a Sertoma Foundation, and you can actually apply to the foundation for additional monies for speech and hearing causes. But in our area, PD Speech and Hearing, which is out of Florence,
right.
actually has this office over here too. And we're able, by supporting this deal, we're able to support speech and hearing, which basically gives a lot of free services to the people that can't afford it. It's not everybody doesn't pay, and some people pay reduced fees. So, and the other Sertoma Club in town actually supports them too. But building that building for them kind of got them one step ahead of the game and being able to service our area's people.
That's tremendous. My daughter's actually been there for therapy, and it's a great location.
Yeah.
We love that location, and the folks there are a really dedicated crew. And, of course, the connection to Florence is particularly good as well, to have a good symbiotic relationship there. You've also been involved, real active in your church, Mike.
Yeah, I, like a lot of folks, I was a Baptist growing up, and then after college, my church attendance got a little weak, but I sang in the concert choir in college, and somebody asked me to start singing in the choir at the First Presbyterian, and I reluctantly said okay, but it was one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Is that right?
We started singing in the choir and got involved in the church, and then in I think about 7 or 8, maybe 9 years ago, Bobby asked me to get involved with building the new church, and we talked about it as it's the longest committee I've ever been on, about the same length as Sertoma. But we did a lot of research as to where the church needed to be in the future, and we were lucky enough to get 19 acres from Burrs and Chapin on 21st Avenue, actually on Grissom Avenue over there. And we bought it before the land rush started going on.
Yeah.
And currently we're under construction with the first phase of our facility, which is new offices. It'll have a new school for our Mother's Morning Out, which is a very popular preschool program. And then we'll have what we call a great hall, which will allow us to have services there, have functions, have a kitchen there. And the long-term plan is to build a new sanctuary and then hopefully sell our downtown property and move everything over to the new campus, because there we'll have ball fields, we'll have a life center there eventually.
Right.
The new sanctuary obviously will be right out in front, but it's much more convenient for some of our elder members, because a lot of these older buildings aren't very good as far as dealing with handicapped and folks who have any kind of disability. So we're looking forward to that, and it'll be finished hopefully in January of right towards the end of next year.
So
maybe even in December.
2008, is that right?
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
And the full completion of everything, the eventual build-out, Mike, that could be a 5-10 year thing, or the sanctuary and everything? Or
I would hope that in the next 10 years we'll have the sanctuary built, hopefully before that.
Right.
But then we'll be able to have a membership at that location of up to about 4,000 members.
Is that right? Tremendous. Wow. Well, the current location is such a beautiful one, and obviously a lot of memories associated with that, but I'm sure a lot of new memories will be associated at the location on Grissom and for many years to come.
It's always painful to leave one location, but you know, the church is not a building.
Right.
You know, the church is a group of people worshiping God. So, you know, basically our needs basically have changed, and I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be just a great thing for the church and for our community, because, you know, our church, we're real involved in benevolences too. Historically and currently, 1/3 of our entire budget goes to benevolences, and that would include our presbytery. Part of that would go to our presbytery, which is the regional body of the church. But in addition, you know, we do a lot of things here in town for a lot of the other local charities that, like Sertoma, we don't publicize it that much, but we're real serious about it. Most of your key things in Myrtle Beach that you think about, Meals on Wheels, Helping Hand, you know, Sertoma's, we give a good bit of money to United Way that's redistributed. And our church is involved in scholarships. We have some scholarships that we send to Presbyterian College. I think it's 1 or 2 people. Sertoma has 4 scholarships a year for $3,000 each.
Wow. That
we send kids to area schools in South Carolina. In addition, I know our Sertoma Club this year, we just I think donated $5,000 to the $10,000 to the new YMCA,
Great.
And an additional $5,000 to the new Myrtle Beach Haven that Tom Rice is doing a wonderful job
You
getting
were
that
so
built.
diligent
Oh yeah,
with that. Yeah.
hats off to him
Yeah.
for doing that almost single-handedly. I mean, he's really pushed that hard. So both organizations are kind of similar to me because we're real involved in the community and in a consistent basis, and it's really gratifying for us in church and in our club.
Absolutely. We're going to be filming at First Presbyterian Church later this month and are thrilled at all the activities. You know, our producer's husband, Todd Harms, is the Director of Adult Education and Ministry. Ansel Talbert was with us just a couple of weeks ago, and there's so many folks dedicated to that congregation. As with many other churches in town, they really reach out in such a tremendous way. It's almost amazing to think they can do all that they do. The Mexico mission trips, we had Jim Watson with us recently, and of course the guy who was leading the group going down there this year. We've had a lot of folks in that attended that, and Vernie Dove actually aired with us last Friday talking about so many of the activities when he was the business administrator there at the church.
Yeah, he was there for a good time before he went in the insurance business,
Right.
which he was in before. But once we get our new campus, I think we're going to be able to really step up our involvement in the community relative to really being a much, much more prevalent factor in a lot of areas, in addition to our congregation, but not a lot of the other things with our ball fields.
Sure.
Yeah, we got 19 acres.
That is
That's got to be a good thing.
Yeah. Do you still sing, Mike?
I sang in the choir for years, and then once I took the job as the campaign chairman for the church,
Right.
I had to tell Bobby I couldn't. I was actually on the session at the time, so it would have been choir, session, campaign chairman. I would have never spent any time with my family, so actually now I'm just involved in the
Capital campaign.
Yeah, and I try to help the choir out financially.
Sure.
If they need a little something extra, but.
Of course, you and the agency, and of course so many folks associate the agency with you and vice versa, and obviously you all are involved in a lot. I've visited the pshins.com, the Puckett, Sheets and Hogan website early this morning, and of course was thrilled to see that win from 2004 and 2005 as the Commercial Insurance Agency of the Year. Congratulations. But the real exciting thing, they're seeing all the activities you all are involved in. What are some other activities along the stream when we think about community involvement? Obviously Sertoma for you, First Presbyterian Church for you, but for the agency, what are some things you all are particularly involved in?
I guess our biggest involvement would be with United Way. We're always, our employees work with the United Way. Bill Puckett's real involved. I've been involved. I've been the campaign chairman, vice chairman, president, all up and down the line, and we still get out and raise money for that. We're involved in Brook Green Gardens.
Right, yes.
We try to do as much as we can helping those folks. And then, as a rule, what we try to do is rotate year to year in helping other organizations around town in need. Sometimes just families at Christmas, but my plan is to continue that and to get more involved in all kinds of things as the needs arise.
We opened up with that idea, the largest independent insurance agency on the Grand Strand. What does that mean exactly, an independent insurance agency, Mike?
Well, the difference between independent would mean and non-independent, we got Allstate, State Farm, and Nationwide, and they predominantly just write for that company. Whereas we are independent and we represent a lot of different companies. Our bigger companies would be Travelers, Hartford, Zurich, and then we do a lot of business with Lloyd's of London. A lot of the other carriers, especially writers that write stuff here at the beach that the normal carriers won't do.
So there is a real distinction there, an important one.
Right.
So if someone's going to just a non-independent one, they're more or less only going to be underwritten by that particular insurance.
Well, State Farm, for instance, we couldn't represent State Farm, Nationwide, or Allstate.
Right.
So that's really the difference. You're just independent of any one particular company.
That's very interesting. And obviously reaching out in the community and having had your involvement in insurance for, golly, the last 35 years now.
Yeah, 35 years for me.
35 years. You think about some real fascinating aspects. Anything going on in the industry right now that folks need to be aware of? Things up and down the Strand here?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that our industry relative to hurricanes has just been a real problem for everybody.
Right.
After Katrina and Wilma in 04 and 05 years, the insurance marketplace just started drying up because a lot of the capital had evaporated, and our business, like everything else, revolves around capital. The more capital is around, the easier it is to buy insurance because there's more people involved in the game. And after that, those bad hurricane years, a lot of capital left the industry. Now the capital's building back up, and we're seeing more competition, more people getting involved. It's still not like it was, and I don't think it'll ever get back to that point, but we are seeing the rates. I think they've crested, and now they're going back down, which will be good news for, and this is more in the commercial insurance side. Personal insurance side, things are still fairly static as to where they were. But it's been a real problem. And if we have another rash of bad storms, the capital will be taken up to pay those claims, and it'll cause problems again. But hopefully not as bad as it was last summer.
We were interviewing Ray Cleary about 6-8 weeks ago, maybe, down in Murrells Inlet. It happened to be the same morning that I opened a letter where my insurance carrier had said that they were canceling my insurance for the home in Murrells Inlet. Well, what a terrible thing. About 3 weeks later, we were interviewing Dick Elliott up in North Myrtle Beach, and right before that, I'd gotten a letter saying, okay, we're actually going to reinstate it because the line has been pushed back. That's really impacted a lot of folks up and down the Strand.
Yeah, with the expansion of the windstorm pool, it's not made insurance any cheaper, but everybody now can buy a policy pretty much or get coverage. As a matter of fact, some people's coverage has probably increased. I mean, their prices increased dramatically as a result of the pushback. But and on that point, the governor, appointed a new insurance commissioner, Scott Richardson, and if you read the newspaper, his policy got canceled too.
Loved those cartoons. Joe Ruiz, he had a hilarious one about it. Yeah.
But the big problem, I don't think what people understand is, in coastal areas, if companies were forced to write a lot of insurance in coastal areas, and they got overextended in that area because every state forced them to write on the coast, they could literally go bankrupt and not be able to pay the claims. And I think that's what the regulators try to balance, making companies provide insurance and at the same time not putting them in financial risk where they couldn't pay a claim if they had too many of them. That would be the worst case scenario.
That would be. And
it has happened during Andrew, and when that happens, the state has to step in and try to make things whole.
Weren't there some big companies, and maybe in the UK or otherwise, that were dramatically impacted by the hurricanes in Florida? Yeah,
there were a lot of international. We live in an international world now. Just in the recent credit crunch that you've seen, the securitized mortgages are bundled up and sold all over the world. We're finding out that a lot of this debt ended up on the balance sheets of other banks worldwide because the return was so good. So I guess the good news was that it wasn't all here. But the bad news was, just like with hurricanes, when financial situations impact capital and capital is not readily available, it causes a crunch, whether it's insurance or whether it's credit. So a lot of similarities in the two.
Any groups on the Strand, Mike, that really have impacted you and your family? When you think about making a difference, there's so many groups. Obviously, Sertoma, your own church, Brook Green Gardens even. I think last Friday you were down to Brook Green Gardens, and there's so many tremendous groups. Are any strong stories of groups that have impacted you?
Well, my wife and I are trying to be more and more benevolent as our lives go on, and Brook Green Gardens, I think, is the hidden gem of Myrtle Beach, and it does a lot of good things for our area. The church has been the biggest one for me, probably Sertoma second, and I stay very involved in those two. But most recently, my wife has gotten involved being on the board of the Storm Eye Institute. She almost lost her life and eye in a traffic accident about 5 years ago, and this past year she's actually gone on the Storm Eye board, which does a tremendous amount of eye research that a lot of folks here don't know about down at MUSC. And then especially macular degeneration and a lot of retinas, this type thing. And also she's very involved on the board up at the Governor's School, South Carolina. There's two Governor's School. One, I think it's over in Hartsville, which is for math and science, and the other one is in Greenville. And she's involved there, and her job with the board is to make the Grand Strand more aware of what's going on. And a lot of our kids go up there, and it's like the North Carolina School for the Arts. It's for advanced children in music and arts and science and math too over in Hartsville. So we're involved in that, and I think that's making a big difference in her life, and as a result in mine too, trying to help those folks out and finding out more about what's going on.
Absolutely. Those are great words. Thanks so much for being with us this morning, Mike.
Enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Mike Hogan coming up next. A very curious word until three words come together in unison. Service to mankind. Service to mankind. Think about that. Service to mankind, Sertoma. What a great opportunity. The 50 million people that are impacted by speech, language, and hearing disorders. There's a lot of folks out there, day in and day out. Travel down 21st Avenue, come across PD Speech and Hearing, a commitment of this Sertoma Club and their commitment day in and day out. So many great groups Mike could be involved in. Fortunately, he and his family wrapped around Sertoma. They wrapped around him. Rotary, First Presbyterian Church, United Way, whatever it is, day in and day out, it's making a difference in others' lives.